what's the weirdest skincare trend or like a myth that a patient has come to you about?
She told me that she was using snail juice on her skin. And when I looked into it, actually snail mucus is used in a lot of cosmetics. So, nowadays people do vampire facial. That's where they take a sample of your blood
Yeah.
and they inject it back into your skin. But, nothing surprises me anymore.
What actually causes acne?
I wish I could just give you one answer, but there's so many causes of acne. And acne is caused by inflammation of what we call the pilosebaceous unit. The glands on your skin, on your face, for example, in your back, on your upper chest.
Does toothpaste cure pimples?
Oh, that's a difficult
It's a
one.
tricky one.
So yes and no for that.
What scam skincare products are out there in the market?
Lots, too many. There's been many reported cases of parents buying creams to treat children's eczema. They didn't mention that the cream contained topical steroids.
I recently got to know about this, that PCOS affects skin as well.
Too much androgen can cause acne. Too much androgen can cause hair growth. Sometimes you may not know that you have PCOS. You may not find out till you're in your 20s or sometimes even in your 30s when you're trying to have a child.
Fillers, are they good for your skin? We have seen a couple of examples which turned out really bad and then people do get scared.
You can literally go
Yeah.
and do a one-day course and tomorrow you can open up a business and be doing fillers and you can have no medical experience at all. That's how crazy it is.
Great skin ain't just an experience. It's all about also the healthy habits that you adopt in your life. Welcome back to Social Untold. Today's episode is for you. Whether you have pimples, dry skin, or you just want to have a natural glow. What products to use for your skin, what products are a scam, then keep watching. Hi Jinesh, how are you?
Hi Meena, thanks for having me on the program.
We're really excited to have you today. So Jinesh is a dermatology expert with years of experience. Would you like to tell us a bit about your experience, like where you worked, to our audience?
So I work in both the private sector and the NHS.
Yeah.
And in the NHS, I work both in primary care, which is GP practices. I also offer dermatology services in the community.
Okay.
I also work in secondary care as well. And I also work as an academic for 2 universities where I'm a lecturer on the medical school programs.
Yeah. Okay, great. So tell me, what inspired you to become a dermatologist?
So, I mean, the great the skin is a fascinating organ, as you know.
Yeah.
It's probably it's the largest organ in your body.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, people have become more and more interested in skin.
Yeah.
And it's a very niche area. So in medicine, everybody knows a little bit about cardiology and gastro and all the other specialties, but very few medics know enough about the skin.
Yeah.
And so dermatology is one of those areas where you'll always be in demand. And there's always people with skin problems. And the thing with most skin conditions is most skin conditions are chronic, which means that they last for a long time. And so there's a lot that needs to be done for these patients. And so I think that's what really inspired me to go into dermatology.
Yeah. Amazing. Tell me one thing. It's kind of funny. What's the weirdest, skincare trend or like a myth that a patient has come to you about?
Oh, I've had so many. Where do I start? So, I mean, a few years ago, I had a patient who came to me.
Yeah.
And she told me that she was using snail juice on her skin.
Okay.
And I sort of raised my eyebrow. I said, what do you mean snail juice? She said, yeah. She said, in France, you can buy snail mucus.
Okay.
And they actually use it on the skin in not just France, but many other countries.
Yeah.
And when I looked into it, actually snail mucus is used in a lot of cosmetics. A lot of French companies use snail products.
Yeah.
And it's actually very hydrating because mucus is a type of protein.
Yeah.
And it sticks quite well on the skin. It's quite slimy, as you know.
Yeah.
But actually, it's a very hydrating product.
Yeah.
And at first I was a bit, it didn't sit well with me. But I think actually it's a good product. But I mean, I've had all sorts. Nowadays people do vampire facials. I don't know if you've ever come across that term.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
That's where they take a sample of your blood.
Yeah.
And they inject it back into your skin. So, I mean, that's a trend. I mean, some countries, they use other animal products on the face. I mean,
Okay.
it really varies which country you go to.
Yeah.
But nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I recently read somewhere online about period pain facial or something.
Period pain facial.
Period blood facial.
Oh, wow.
And I was kind of disgusted when I read that, but it's true. People are doing that.
As I said, nothing ever surprises me in
Yeah.
medicine. So it's possible. It's possible. I've not come across it myself, though. Not
Yeah.
yet, anyway.
Okay. Okay. Tell me a little more about like health related stuff. How does our skin show about our internal health? Because I think it does really show like what's going on inside.
So I think it's really important that we understand that lots of aspects of your lifestyle are related to your skin.
Yeah.
So just sort of as a generic, and we can go into more detail later if you like, the important things with your skin are your diet,
Yeah.
your sleep, and stress. If I had to summarize, those two things, diet, sleep, and stress.
Yeah.
If you focus on those three things, most of us will have good skin health.
Okay. Okay. And like all that acne and dryness and dullness,
Exactly.
that would go away.
And so things like, eczema, which is a type of, dry skin,
Yeah.
or acne,
Yeah.
is made worse by stress. It's made worse by a poor diet.
Yeah.
And sleep also affects your skin as well.
Yeah.
And sleep has a big impact on your skin
Yeah.
through a hormone, which is called melatonin, which is a really important hormone for sleep.
Yeah.
And that influences pigmentation, for example. So there's lots of different factors involved in that are at play. And so if anyone said to me, what's one thing that you can do? There isn't just one thing. There's a multitude of things that you need to do to have perfect skin.
Yeah. So like 8 hours of sleep, eat greens, and stay happy.
Yes, exactly. I mean, with the diet, there's so many things. There's so much new research coming out.
Yeah.
And we know that there's certain types of fatty acids
Yeah.
called omega-6 fatty acids.
Hmm.
And these fatty acids are found in vegetable oils. They're found in fried foods, processed foods.
Okay.
And these sort of foods increase inflammation in your skin. And then there is some theory that this can lead to skin conditions later on.
Yeah.
The opposite end of that is omega-3 fatty acids, which a lot of us take. And omega-3 acids do the opposite. They actually have antioxidant effects on the skin. And they reduce inflammation. So I think your diet is another really important factor.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me that what actually causes acne? Is it just like hormones, or like are there any other factors involved as well?
So it's I wish I could just give you one answer, but there's so many causes of acne.
Yeah.
Now, acne is it's a generic it's a wide term, and acne is caused by inflammation of what we call the pilosebaceous unit. So the pilosebaceous unit is the glands on your skin, on your face, for example, on your back, on your upper chest. These are the areas which can be sometimes affected by acne. And these glands become blocked. They become colonized with bacteria. And that bacteria will then lead to inflammation.
Yeah.
And that causes that pimple that you traditionally see in acne.
Okay. Okay. And is it true like having chocolates also cause acne and pimples?
So there's evidence that anything that's got a high glycemic index, what do we mean by a high glycemic index? It's something which releases sugar fast.
Okay.
So not just chocolates, but also potatoes, rice. These things have a high glycemic index. So anything that has a high glycemic index can interfere with the normal function of the skin.
Yeah.
So for example, we know that these things will cause a spike in your insulin levels. They will cause a spike in another hormone called insulin-like growth factor.
Yeah.
And these hormones are implicated in worsening of the acne. Okay, so we know that having a low GI diet, so low glycemic index diet, actually makes acne better.
Okay.
And there's been lots of big studies done on this.
Yeah.
And so diet is important with acne.
Okay. And what about the anti-acne face washes? Are they helpful?
That's a great question. So look, there's two ways of looking at it. They are helpful in the sense that they help to take some of that sebum, which is the greasy stuff that you see in your skin. Yeah. They help to take some of it off. Okay. But realistically, how long do you leave a facial, a wash on your face?
Yeah.
A couple of seconds, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at the most, you might leave a a product on your face for a minute
A
before you
minute,
wash
yeah,
it off,
yeah.
right? So how much time does that product have to work on your skin? Not long.
Yeah.
You've got less than a minute for that
Hmm.
product to work on your skin.
Yeah.
So are they really that effective, or is it more of a way of companies marketing and making money on it?
Hmm.
But there are products that are helpful that you leave on overnight.
Okay.
But facial, for example, rejuvenating washes or, abrasive washes,
Yeah.
they're less likely to be helpful with acne.
Okay. Okay. And are there any like long-term treatments that people can adapt to get rid of acne?
So the things that you can buy over the counter, so
Yeah.
many of these things you will be probably familiar with, are your AHAs and BHAs. What are AHAs and BHAs? So AHAs are a type of acid. So we've got things like glycolic acid, lactic acid, which
Yeah.
you often find in lots of cosmetic products.
Yeah.
And these act like a little bit of a peel. They're a bit like an exfoliant. They
Okay.
take off a layer of your skin. They help to declog your pores.
Yeah.
And then you have things which we call BHAs, which is like salicylic acid. Salicylic acid is found in lots of different cosmetics. Just to name a few, CeraVe do a few brands, La Roche-Posay do a few brands of salicylic acid, The Ordinary do a few brands. There's lots of different brands that you
Yeah.
can buy with salicylic acid. Now, salicylic acid is quite helpful because it helps to, in acne, you have a buildup of dead skin, keratin, in the pores.
Yeah.
And that's what causes the pores to become blocked.
Yeah.
And so this salicylic acid helps to break that dead skin down
Okay.
and opens up the pores.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
salicylic acid is actually a really helpful product to start off with. If you can't get an appointment with your doctor, for example,
Yeah.
start off with that, see if it works. And if it does work, continue with it. And it's very safe to use. It also has some anti-aging properties as well.
Yeah.
And there's a new product on the market called niacinamide.
Yeah.
So niacinamide is a derivative of vitamin B. And that's another great product, which a lot of people are using for acne. It has anti-inflammatory, anti-aging effects.
Yeah.
And so there's so many new products on the market now that weren't available, let's say, a few decades ago. And so there's a lot more education around acne, and people are using better products.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about poor sleep earlier. Is it just the poor sleep that affects the skin, or is it like also dirty pillowcases?
Okay, so let's talk about sleep, and I'll come back to dirty pillowcases in
Yeah.
a moment. But let's talk about sleep. And is it just the skin that you're
Your
asking
skin,
about,
yeah,
or is it
yeah.
skin and is it more acne?
Like
Just in general.
any issues with skin, yeah.
So as I said, poor sleep does a few things. So if you have poor sleep, you tend to have lower levels of a hormone called melatonin. Now, I said melatonin is very important for your skin because melatonin it controls the pigmentation of your skin.
Okay.
So the reason why me and you are the skin color that we are is because of something called melanin, which is a pigment we find in our skin. And melanin is produced by some cells called melanocytes. And melatonin affects melanocytes.
Yeah.
So the lack of sleep can affect the regulation of melanocytes.
Okay.
So that's number one. So patients, for example, with really bad acne, they tend to have more worsening pigmentation if they don't
Okay.
sleep as well.
Yeah.
Also, lack of sleep increases a hormone called cortisol, which is a stress hormone.
Yeah.
So if you don't sleep, you often wake up feeling stressed. Your heart might be beating a little bit faster. You might not feel great waking up in the morning if you do, and it increases your stress levels.
Yeah.
And we know that high stress levels cause the skin to become dehydrated, tends to cause more problems. Like, for example, you lose the antioxidant effects in your skin. Your skin can become more aged more rapidly. So people that generally are more stressed, that don't sleep as well, they start getting dark circles, if you've noticed, under their eyes.
Yeah.
And they start to get wrinkles, and they start to look more aged because of lack of sleep.
Yeah.
So I'd say sleep is a really, really important part of your skin. And if you're not getting your 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night, you should start thinking about that.
Okay. And you mentioned dark circles. I think I have that issue as well. Do you think I have it? Is it too bad?
I can't. I mean, looking at you, I don't think
because I haven't got any makeup around my eyes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it's terrible. I think remember that also if you're South Asian,
Yeah.
genetically there is some pigmentation around the eyes anyway, and
Yeah.
Patients with a South Asian or Asian background
Yeah.
tend to have pigmentation, for example, on the backs of their hands. They can have pigmentation on for example, other sides of the body. Also remember, pigmentation can be linked to diabetes if it's under the armpits or behind your neck.
Yeah.
So pigmentation can be caused by lots of different things. But in South Asians, they can have a little bit of pigmentation under the eyes.
Yeah.
But what can make it better is good sleep, good hydration, and less stress.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure people know about it, but I just want to talk about this as well, that how necessary it is to wash your makeup brushes. And how often should we wash them?
Okay, so well, remember that all of us have bacteria in our skin.
Yeah.
Right? We have good bacteria, and sometimes we have bad bacteria, and sometimes there's an imbalance between the two. And when there is an imbalance between the two, you can start developing other conditions like acne, folliculitis, and there's lots of other conditions that you can develop, like fungal infections or yeast infections. So the balance between the two is important. Now, things like dirty pillows or brushes, yes, they can increase the number of bad bacteria on your skin.
Yeah.
But generally, if you have lots of good bacteria in your skin,
Yeah.
those good bacteria will destroy the bad bacteria. And so you'll have that equilibrium. It's when you stop having all those good bacteria on your skin through excessive washing, through using lots of antiseptic washes, then you might disrupt the microbiome of your skin.
Yeah.
And that's where the topic of microbiome and skin comes into play.
Yeah.
And perhaps sometimes, some people may even be using probiotics for their skin.
Yeah. Okay. Quick question. This reminds me of something I saw on TikTok. There was some doctor, a dermatologist probably. He was talking about how when we are scrolling through social media on our phones, that transfers bacteria on our skin. So I'm not sure how that works. So I just thought like it's a good point.
I think that's a bit of scare.
You.
I think that's a bit of scaremongering, to be honest. It depends on how much you clean your iPhone. I mean, I certainly clean my iPhone every day when I get into work. I put a wipe, get a wipe over it.
Yeah.
I think most of us have a good practice where we clean our iPhones. I mean, if you've never cleaned your iPhone, then perhaps there's a lot of bacteria, not just bacteria which is harmful for your skin, but even probably bacteria that's harmful for your gut.
Even scrolling, like even if you're like putting your phone on your face while you're talking,
you're going to get bacterial transfer anywhere, aren't you? Even if you touch a handle of a door, even if you put your coat on, you're always going to get transfer of bacteria.
Yeah.
I don't think in a normal, healthy person, that wouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Tell me about the celebrity skin. Like their skin is so nice, right? Always glowing, always like on point. What treatments do they do? Like how do they take care of their skin? And is there anything that normal people can also try what they're doing, and is it worth it?
Sure. So, I mean, let's look at the average celebrity. The average celebrity gets plenty of sleep.
Yeah.
Stress-wise, I mean, they usually have people working for them, so they generally tend to have less stress compared to the average worker. And they tend to have they tend to be more wealthy, so they tend to look after their diet more. They have less processed food. They eat out perhaps less. They perhaps have a cook at home that cooks them fresh, green, leafy, antioxidant-rich food.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to look at that. So they tend to have a better lifestyle because of the wealth, and they tend to have more time for themselves.
Yeah.
And also it's important that their image is part of their work. So they tend to spend more time, more money on cosmetics perhaps as well. But I think an important thing, and just to sort of point out to people watching, is that remember that nowadays with AI, social media, there is a lot of filters on videos, and pictures are often edited. That I can give you countless examples of social media influencers who admit to using filters and admit to using programs to edit how they look and their waist size, and so I think we should be careful about looking at things online.
Yeah.
Because often people may feel that the celebrities are better off and they're less better off. So I think it tends to cause more psychological problems in the average person. So we should be careful about that. But overall, celebrities they tend to be better with sleep, diet, and less stress.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll say a few statements now, and then you tell me if you think it's a fact or a myth.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Does toothpaste cure pimples?
Oh, that's a difficult
It's a
one.
tricky
Okay,
one.
so yes and no for that.
Okay. Is sunscreen only necessary on sunny days?
No.
Okay. Can people with oily skin skip moisturizer?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Are natural products always better than chemical ones?
Not necessarily.
Okay. That's a good one. Okay, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Do expensive skincare products work better than the drugstore ones?
Again, not necessarily.
Okay. Does drinking more water automatically clear your skin?
It definitely is beneficial.
Okay. And what scam skincare products are out there in the market?
Lots. Too many.
Okay, can you name a few?
So I mean, I can't. I'm not going to give any names, but be careful when you're buying products, especially in a store like a market store or like on a car boot sale, because a lot of products are from abroad
Okay.
and they don't have the same regulation and licensing as they do on in products made, for example, within the European Union or
Okay.
within the UK.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. There's been many reported cases, even on the newspapers,
Yeah.
of parents buying creams to treat children's eczema, and they bought the cream from eBay or they bought the cream from a store in a
Yeah.
market, and the cream didn't have all the ingredients at the back. So they
Okay.
didn't mention that the cream contained topical steroids.
Okay.
And the parents were using those creams on their child, and it was actually a thing called Magic Cream. The cream was called Magic Cream.
Yeah.
And suddenly the child's eczema became better. I became the parents' least best friend, and the cream became their best friend because they thought that the cream is doing all these miracles.
Yeah.
But little did they know that cream had steroids in it.
Yeah.
And over a long period of time, that steroid actually harmed that child's skin and caused the skin to become thinner and more wrinkled.
Oh,
And so I think
okay.
it's very important. And similarly, I've had patients who've used a product from abroad, or they've used a product that's not been licensed or hasn't always told you the correct ingredients at the back, and they've had a chemical reaction to it. And, to the extent where their skin burnt.
Oh, God. Okay.
So, be wary of products in a market. They're in a market for a reason. If they were good products, they'd be on a pharmacist's shelf.
Okay. Okay. And you said that the natural products aren't always better than the chemical ones.
So I agree that natural products are great. So things like aloe vera gel, for example, great. It cools the skin. It's nice. It's soothing. It's got this very hydrating feel to it.
Yeah.
Then you've got things like coconut oil, shea butter. These, you could say these are all natural products.
Yeah.
But actually cocoa butter, or for example, even olive oil can be quite irritating to the skin. So in somebody who's got very sensitive skin, somebody who's got very, terrible eczema, these products can still make the skin even more sensitive and can make the eczema worse. And so it depends on the situation. If you have healthy skin, perhaps it might be worth trying a natural product. Okay. But if you have a skin condition, discuss with your dermatologist what is the best product for you.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, tell me one thing. There's so many sunscreens out there, right? Some of them are like from drugstores, some of them are like from, high-end brands. Which one is the best sunscreen that you would recommend?
Okay, that's a really great question. So let's talk about sunscreens. So that we all know sunscreens, you can pick them up on the shelf these days anyway, buy them online. There's two types of sunscreens. There's the ones which are the physical sunscreens, which reflect light away. Okay. And then there's the ones which are the chemical sunscreens, which absorb the light. Okay. So in terms of research, the physical sunscreens are better. They're less damaging on the skin.
Yeah.
Okay. The trouble with the physical ones is they tend to leave a bit of a white coat on your face. So people like them less for cosmetic reasons, because if you put too much on, you look like a ghost. Now the sunscreens, you get sunscreens which help with UVA light, UVB, UVC, and visible light. So these are the different types of UV light or light from the sun. Okay. Now UVC is filtered by the ozone layer. So hardly UVC light will get through to us. Okay. Then you have UVA, which causes aging. So UVA goes deeper in the skin, and that's what makes you wrinkle. So as we get older, the reason we get these very deep wrinkles is because of UVA. So if you think about an old lady from back home, let's say an old lady that's been living in the sun, been let's say a farmer, for example, right? They will have really deep wrinkles. If you ever notice, they have really, really deep wrinkles. And that deep wrinkling is caused by the damage that UVA does, because UVA can damage collagen. And collagen is what gives us our elasticity, gives our skin that nice young look. UVB is important in lighter skin types. So, if you're very fair skinned and you burn very easily, UVB will burn the top layer of the skin. Okay. And UVB is what causes skin cancer. Okay. So when we look at sunscreens, we want something with a very high strength of UVB. Yeah. So like factor 50 plus, SPF 50 plus. We want something with 5-star rating for UVA. Okay. And if you suffer with photosensitive skin conditions like rosacea, or if you suffer with, for example, lupus, or any other conditions which are aggravated by the sun, then you also want something, or for example, like melasma as well, which is a pigmentary disorder. You want something which also has a filter against against visible light. Okay. So I'll give you just I'll mention a couple of brands. I mean, I'm not saying that one brand is better than the other, but there are lots of brands out there. Bioderma does a really good product with SPF. Okay. Anthelios is another one by La Roche-Posay. And there's also another product called, it's by Ulturist, and they do a SPF 50, which is the most economic. It's the most reasonably priced. Okay. The others tend to be a bit more expensive. Yeah. But these are the sort of my 3 go-to in all my scopes of work. Okay. Okay, amazing. Yeah, because sunscreen, I think it's just very important, right? Absolutely. And not just like daytime, you should always put it on when you're inside house as well. Like absolutely, especially if you have a photosensitive skin condition. Yeah. You remember that the UV light is going to get through the window. Yeah. Even if you're sitting in the car, it's still getting through the window screen. So you need to be putting it on. And remember that the sun is the strongest between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Yeah. So you need to have something on your face in those hours. Okay. Now, a common question that I get asked is, we're Asian. Do we need sunscreen? Yeah. We've got natural pigment. We've got, we tend to get less skin cancer. Why do we still need to use sunscreen? Well, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to slow down aging through the UVA, then yes, apply sunscreen. Okay. Probably UVB is going to be less relevant to you the darker your skin type, because you have the melanin to protect you. But also remember that vitamin D is absorbed through the skin. So if you're covering your face with sunscreen, you're absorbing less vitamin D. Okay, that makes sense. And vitamin D is really important for your bone health, especially as you get older. Yeah. And so if you are using a lot of sunscreen, consider taking vitamin D supplements every day. Okay. Yeah. But again, discuss this with your doctor. It's best to discuss this with your doctor. Okay. Tell me, does our skin behave differently in winters versus summers? Does that make a difference? Is there? Yes, absolutely. So remember that in the summer, where the weather can be more drier, it tends to, depending on where you live. Obviously, if you're living in India, it's more humid. Yeah. The sun is actually quite helpful for some skin conditions. So, for example, like psoriasis, eczema, the sun's great. Okay. People that go to a hot country, a humid country, and they have psoriasis, they come back to the UK cured. Not cured, but they come back with no more patches on their skin. Yeah. And then they come back to this country, the weather changes again, the weather's more drier here, and so the psoriasis slowly comes back. So yes, the weather does influence your skin. Yeah. And in the winter, especially in this country, we tend to have the radiators on. So the radiators dry the air, there's less humidity, and that can aggravate eczema. Okay. So yes, it does have a drying effect on your skin. But yes, your environment is very important for the skin. It does have it does play a role with a lot of skin diseases. Okay. Okay. Everyone knows that pollution does leave effect on the skin as well. How bad it has become in today's world? I think pollution is a thing that we all should be focusing on, especially climate change. Remember that I mentioned collagen earlier. Yeah. And collagen is a very important protein in our skin. It's slightly deeper in our skin, and that's what gives us our skin at the elasticity that we want. Yeah. Now, pollution is full of what we call free radicals. So there's these free radicals, which are these chemicals, if you like, or these particles, which can destroy the collagen. Yeah. And through destroying collagen, you lose the elasticity. And that's how pollution affects the skin. So pollution can actually accelerate breakdown of collagen. It can reduce the amount of renewal of collagen. It can slow down the function of the cells which produce collagen.
Yeah.
So it has lots of effects on the skin.
Yeah.
So if you live in a polluted area, you're more likely to have damage to your skin versus living in the countryside.
And just going back to our previous question, you said that the skin does act differently in different seasons. So should people also change their skincare routine? Like in summer it should be different and winter should be different.
I think it really depends on the individual. If you have a skin condition,
Yeah.
For instance, eczema. Let's just take eczema or dry skin as an example.
Yeah.
In the winter, you'll have your heating on. The environment will be drier in your rooms.
Yeah.
So you'll need to use more moisturizer.
Okay.
In the summer, depending on how nice the summer is, if it's humid
Yeah.
and there's lots of sun out, your eczema will automatically get better, and you'll probably be ending up using less moisturizer.
Okay.
So it really depends
Yeah.
on what skin problem you have. But overall, yes, it can be varied
Yeah.
depending on which season it is, what you need to use or what you use.
Yeah. Okay. And for sunscreens, do we need like same amount of SPF, like 50 SPF in summer and then all year round, or can that change?
There's no hard or fast rule on that. So, for instance, in the summer, yes, I'd probably want to use SPF 50 because you get more sunny days.
Yeah.
The days are more brighter. In the winter, you get the weather is different. But remember that it's the UV light
Yeah.
that affects the skin. And yes, there is more UV light when the sun is out.
Yeah.
But you're going to have UV light all year round in the daytime.
Mm.
So yes, you can drop down to an SPF 30 in the winter perhaps, and maybe an SPF 50 in the summer, or you can just use SPF 50 all the way around.
Okay. Okay. And we talked about environmental damage and pollution. How can people like keep their skin safe from that?
So antioxidants. So the key is antioxidants. That's what will get rid of all these free radicals in your skin. So antioxidants, where do we get them? Fresh green leafy vegetables, fruit, your diet. That plays a big role.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you. I'm coming to something very serious. PCOS.
Okay.
I recently got to know about this, that PCOS affects skin as well. How do patients with PCOS take care of their skin?
So let's talk about PCOS. So PCOS stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Yeah.
Now, this is a condition which predominantly it only affects women, first of all. And sometimes you may not know that you have PCOS until a lot later in life. So you may not find out till you're in your 20s or sometimes even in your 30s when you're trying to have a child. So what PCOS is, it's a condition where there is too much androgens. So androgens are hormones which cause a spectrum of effects. So I'll give you an example. Too much androgen can cause acne. Too much androgen can cause hair growth in places you don't want. Okay. So in women, it can cause hair growth on their chest. It can also cause irregular periods or delayed periods. It can cause difficulty with becoming pregnant in the future as well. So it can affect fertility. It can affect your mood as well. PCOS is also linked to diabetes, hypercholesterolemia. So you tend to have a more higher risk of developing high cholesterol later on in life. And then all the other things that follow, like being overweight, and high blood pressure and so on. So it's a spectrum of conditions that are linked to PCOS. Now, we don't know the exact mechanisms, but we know in PCOS, the ovaries have lots of cysts on there. That's why it's called polycystic ovarian syndrome. And we know that that there's an imbalance between the hormones. And as I said, there's too many circulating androgens. Now, what you need to do is, if you have PCOS, you need to go and see your doctor, because there are a lot of options now. There are things like the combined oral contraceptive pill. There are drugs like spironolactone, which have anti-androgenic effects. So they reduce those androgens. There are lots of other things that you can consider. For example, HIIT training, so high intensity interval training, can help with PCOS. And there are even more advanced treatments that can be prescribed in the hospital. for
Okay.
PCOS as well.
Okay.
But that's something that you need to discuss with your doctor.
Yeah.
And there isn't much available over the counter for PCOS.
Yeah.
It is something that you would need to discuss.
Okay. And what role do hormones like testosterone play in, causing breakouts to your skin?
That's a great question. So remember earlier I said that in acne,
Yeah.
we have the pilosebaceous unit. So these are these glands on your skin. And when you have too many androgens,
Yeah.
these glands just keep producing more and more and more sebum.
Okay.
Then the glands become blocked
Yeah.
with this keratin plugs.
Okay.
Then those glands become blocked, and then these bacteria
Yeah.
called Cutibacterium acnes colonizes these glands.
Yeah.
And that whole process causes the formation of pimples. So it's lots of things that are causing acne.
Yeah.
Hormones, bacteria, excessive production of sebum, blocking of the follicles, so the blocking of the glands. And so it's a multifactorial condition.
Yeah. Okay. So we've discussed about sunscreens, which ones are the good ones out there. Anti-aging creams, do they help?
So depends what you mean by anti-aging creams, because
Because
SPF.
every brand has like their specific line for anti-aging products. So, and everyone's trying those. So are they really helpful?
So I think really the key is not looking at the name of the product. So if it says anti-aging on there, you need to turn the product around
Okay.
and read the ingredients. What are the ingredients?
Yeah.
Does it have AHAs? Does it have BHAs? What I spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
Does it have niacinamide in there?
Okay.
Does it have SPF? SPF, as I said,
Yeah.
protects against UVA, UVB, depending on which one you're using. So you need to have a look at the ingredients.
Yeah.
That's the key. Does it also have antioxidants? There are certain antioxidants that you can put into creams these days that can help with this free radical damage that I spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
And so, if a cream says anti-aging, to me, that means nothing.
Yeah.
It's until I turn the cream around that I know what's in there. And you've got to educate yourself on these chemicals. Because once you educate yourself on these chemicals, then you will know whether what you're using is valid.
Okay. We talked about collagen previously. What about taking oral collagens?
So,
and like even stuff like hyaluronic acid.
Sure.
Is it good? Does it work?
So let's divide the two. So you've got oral collagen, and then you've got topical hyaluronic acid.
Yeah.
So collagen, like I mentioned, there's lots of different types of collagen. In the skin, the skin has the most collagen in it. There's collagen 17, there's collagen 3. There's so many different types. We could talk all day about collagen, the different types of collagen. Now, the trouble is with in terms of if we're looking at research, if we're looking at the big studies, what we call the meta-analyses, which is the big studies that we do, that all the doctors look at.
Yeah.
The evidence is skewed. It's mixed. Some people are saying it works. Some studies are saying, well, actually, there's not enough evidence that they work. My personal opinion is that the evidence is lacking for oral collagen.
Okay.
If you really want to plump your skin up, you need to inject hyaluronic acid. So hyaluronic acid is what you get in fillers. And it comes back to that question that you asked about actors.
Yeah.
How do actors' skin look so plump and so young?
Yeah.
It's because a lot of them do have these cosmetic procedures. They have hyaluronic acid fillers. They may be undergoing other things like microneedling or dermabrasion and so on.
Yeah.
But hyaluronic acid is a naturally found protein in the dermis of your skin, which is a deeper layer of your skin. Okay. And if you replace the hyaluronic acid, your skin will look better hydrated. It will have more of a plump to it. It will look younger, less wrinkly.
Yeah.
And so that's the best way to get the product into your skin, is through injecting it rather than taking it orally. The trouble is, if you take it orally, your body breaks down some of it. Some of it might be absorbed, but most of it comes out the other end.
Okay.
And things like hyaluronic acid, very little will be absorbed. Okay, so and the same applies to collagen. You'd have to take a substantial amount for there to be some absorption, but there is some very weak evidence that they are effective.
Yeah. And what about facials and this term called face yoga? Does these things help?
I'm a bit skeptical about those things. I mean, yoga or exercise is generally good for the body. It releases your stress.
Yeah.
It encourages less free radicals on your body. It tends to be have less inflammatory effects on your skin. So exercise in any shape or form, whether it's yoga, whether it's HIIT training, whether it's swimming, is good
Yeah.
for your skin.
Yeah.
Okay. But facial yoga specifically, it's not an area which I'm too familiar with.
Okay.
But I don't think there is a lot of studies or much evidence base behind it.
Okay. And have you seen those roller things, like the devices that everyone's
Yes.
using on their faces?
Yes. So again, there's some mixed evidence on this. So the way the rollers work is that they induce, so that they break your skin. They induce these small bit of trauma to your skin,
Okay.
and that encourages these cells called fibroblasts. And fibroblasts is what basically makes collagen. And so there's a theory that if you induce these or encourage these fibroblasts to produce more collagen, you'll have less scarring, you'll have less wrinkling of the skin, your skin will look younger. So there is some theory behind it.
Yeah.
But again, it's not something that you should go for without discussing with an expert.
Okay. And I'm sure you know about this. So many brands out there are creating these at-home devices like LED masks and stuff like that. Are these helpful? And a lot of people are buying them, especially it's going on, like, it's crazy around on social media. Everyone's using them and they're like, it works, just buy it.
Sure.
Do you think it works?
I think again, the evidence base is lacking. I mean, I've had lots of patients come to me and say, look, I bought this LED mask off AliExpress or eBay, and they say that it's improved their skin somewhat. But I think we've got to be careful. Remember that these LED masks, they're not regulated, first of all. We don't know the strength of the light that they are emitting is very weak for them to really be clinically effective.
Okay.
And I think they're more of a marketing strategy to make lots of sales.
Yeah.
So it's more of an incentive to make business at the end of the day. So I think I'd be wary of LED lights. I mean, some people do use it for example, skin conditions like psoriasis. You can use it for other specific skin conditions, but the evidence base is lacking.
Okay. That
purely because of the strength.
Okay.
They're very weak in strength, which is why you can buy them for quite cheap online.
Yeah.
Compare that to a £20,000 LED machine that you'd get in the hospital.
Yeah. Okay. So we spoke about anti-aging creams earlier. What's the right age for one to start using them?
I think when you start hitting your 20s, that's probably the right age. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer here. There's lots of teenagers who are using SPF daily, sunscreens daily, anti-age creams. It depends on what your goals are. So if your goals are, for instance, that you want to slow down the aging process, or you want to use it for example, pigmentation, or to reduce the amount of pimples you've got on your skin, then you would probably start off much earlier. And there's plenty of patients. For example, my mum uses anti-aging creams now. She's not using anything. These things were not known 20 years ago.
Exactly.
And so now a lot of people in their 60s are using anti-aging creams, and yes, it still has a beneficial effect. There's no such thing as a right age to start the creams. You can start them at any age.
Okay.
And SPF is beneficial to all.
Yeah. Okay. And we spoke about these treatments that celebrities get done. Fillers, are they good for your skin? Because we have seen a couple of examples which turned out really bad, and then people do get scared. Okay, we don't want to get fillers done. So
I think that's a really valid question. The trouble is, in this country specifically, fillers, Botox, aesthetic treatments are not strongly regulated.
Okay.
So you can literally go and do a 1-day course, and tomorrow you can open up a business and be doing fillers, and you can have no medical experience at all. That's how crazy it is. Yeah.
Really?
And a lot of people that are offering treatments on Instagram, on TikTok, social media, they will call themselves skin experts.
Yeah.
I encourage you to ask them, what is your qualifications? I will tell you 9 out of 10 times, they will have no medical degree, They'll have no medical background. They'll have done a course over the weekend, and they'll be calling themselves a skin expert.
Over a weekend? Are you
Yes,
serious?
absolutely, yeah. So it's become so easy now to get into the aesthetic field, and because of this reason, and they obviously charge considerably cheaper than a medical expert doing these procedures. They're probably like a third of or even half the price, if not less. And because often they're doing these procedures on patients without properly medically screening them
Yeah.
and properly telling them the risks of the procedure, you're then seeing all these horrible stories of people dying from
Yeah.
fillers in their buttocks, for example. There was a story, not long ago where somebody died up north after
Yeah.
having a filler put in their buttock. And so I'm seeing a lot of this now in my clinics. And I think the government need to do something about strongly regulating the field of aesthetic medicine.
Yeah.
Because at the moment there is no regulation.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know about that. Okay. What about skin brightening? Everyone keeps talking about this thing called glutathione or something like that.
Yes.
Does that really help?
Yes, it does. So skin brightening treatments, they have an effect on, like we mentioned earlier, melanin.
Okay.
So melanin is a pigment in your skin.
Yeah.
Melanocytes make melanin, and all these things can affect your melanocytes. So there's another product called cysteamine, and cysteamine blocks one of the enzymes,
Yeah.
which is implicated in synthesis of melanin. And so there's so many products out there that can help with pigmentation marks, for example, or hyperpigmentation. And glutathione is one of them.
Okay. And is it like a topical thing or do we take it orally?
So you can get topical forms and you can get oral forms. Another good example is tranexamic acid. There's a product called Extra Glow 5% tranexamic acid, which you can buy online.
Okay.
And that's another great product for pigmentation, for hyperpigmentation.
Okay.
And we can use it for multiple different causes of hyperpigmentation.
Yeah.
But again, if you do have a condition where you have excessive pigmentation somewhere,
Yeah.
discuss it with your doctor first.
Okay.
Because sometimes we need to get to the bottom cause of it
Yeah.
before we start giving you treatments for it.
Okay. And is it like really these skin brightening techniques, are they permanent or they're temporary?
They can be temporary. So sometimes you may need to go back again and get them done again. So for example, like chemical peels can help with skin brightening,
Yeah.
but you might have to get quite a few treatments before you see the desired effects.
Okay.
Also remember that in some skin types, these treatments can
Yeah.
actually have the opposite effect. It can make your skin darker.
Yeah.
And so you should always have a test done initially.
Okay.
And again, that stresses the importance of going with a properly certified medical practitioner.
Yeah.
And not just going to someone off the street
Yeah.
for these procedures.
Okay. And you spoke about micro needling, right? Is that a good treatment to get done, and like how often you should get it done?
So microneedling can be used for a variety of skin problems. So for example, if you've had scarring from acne, if you've got a scar somewhere on your face, if you've got pigmentation from another condition, there's certain things which it can be helpful for. It really depends on which one of those conditions you have. So for
Okay.
example, if you had a scar on your face, you might, depending on how deep the scar was,
Yeah.
you might need up to 6 treatments. Whereas if you just had a bit of, faint pigmentation on your face,
Yeah.
or faint acne scarring, you might just need 1 or 2 treatments. It really depends on, it's an individual basis.
And then no top ups later
You
on.
can have top-ups later on.
Okay.
But again, like I said, it really depends on what your specific skin condition is. And I think it's that, again, it raises the point of going to see a qualified expert in
Okay.
this.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Tell me about this Korean glass skin. Is it like actually true? People have that sort of skin, or is it just for the social media thing?
It's literally, like you said, social media.
It is?
So Korean skin, basically the skin is just very shiny like a glass, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the reason it's so shiny is because of what I spoke about earlier. They use these snail mucus products.
Okay.
So Koreans, a lot of these cosmetic products that you can buy
Yeah.
contain this snail mucus.
Okay.
And when you apply that on your face,
Yeah.
it leaves this sort of whitish glow that looks a little bit like a glass.
Yeah.
And so it's actually from what they're applying to their skin rather than their skin actually being that way naturally.
Yeah. Okay. So is it okay to say that if one starts using these sort of snail products or products which have snail mucin or whatever that we call it,
mhm.
then your skin can actually kind of start getting to look like that a little
Possibly. I
bit.
mean, it depends on what you're, again, like depends on what your skin is like to start off with.
Yeah,
If you have acne and you're putting mucus
Yeah.
on your skin and you've already got excessive sebum production,
yeah.
you're probably not going to be doing your skin great justice.
Okay.
So I probably, if you've got healthy skin and you
Yeah.
want your skin to glow a little bit more, if you're going out,
Yeah.
then I think it's fine. But if you have an existing skin condition,
Okay.
I'll be wary about using such products
Okay.
without discussing with a professional.
Okay. Okay, it makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a few quick questions and then you
Sure.
can just, fire out with quick answers. One skincare product you can't live without.
My SPF, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, thought so. Your honest opinion on the fairness creams.
Fairness creams, as in to
Fairness
make your
creams.
skin lighter in
Lighter,
color.
yeah.
Be very wary of them. Be wary.
Okay.
They contain, a lot of them can contain hydroquinone, which over a long time
Yeah.
can actually cause a grayish discoloration of your face. So if you're buying them from abroad,
Yeah.
be warned.
Okay.
Yeah.
DIY masks or store-bought skincare, what's better?
Store-bought skincare, for sure.
Okay. Should men and women follow different skincare routines?
No, not necessarily. No, I think they can. Skincare is for both men and women. I think men are becoming more interested in it now
Yeah.
because of social media platforms. But
Yeah.
previously, it was almost a stigma for men to be using products on their skin.
Yeah.
So, and it's gone the other way now. So everyone should be using some products, products for their skin, especially hydrating products for their skin.
Okay.
We use a lot of soap in the shower.
Yeah.
All of us use soap in the shower.
Yeah.
Soap contains SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate. This dries your skin. You can't avoid that.
Yeah.
And so after you come out the shower, you should be hydrating your skin with a moisturizer.
And that's why people used to use these toners, right? To get the pH level of the skin better after
So
using
pH
soap?
is really important. The natural pH of your skin
Yeah.
is between 4.5 to 5.5.
Yeah.
So for any of you that like gardening, your skin is a bit like the pH of ericaceous soil, which is a very fertile soil that
Yeah.
people use for certain types of plants. So your skin is actually a very well controlled pH.
Yeah.
And so there's certain good bacteria which live on your skin.
Yeah.
And sometimes when the pH of your skin changes, the good bacteria diminish,
Yeah.
and then you get overgrowth of yeast and other bad bacteria,
Okay.
and that affects the microbiome of the skin. And so that's why you should be wary about antibiotic use as well, especially antibiotics for viral infections. Why are people still taking them? Why are people still prescribing antibiotics for viral infections?
Yeah.
It will disrupt your microbiome. And in such instances, probiotics can be really helpful.
Okay. So as a dermatologist, what's the biggest skincare mistake that you've seen people making?
Layering. Oh gosh. Layering is the worst thing you can do. I get this often in my clinics where patients will say, oh, I start off with putting a cleanser, then I put a cream on top of that, then I put a concealer, then I put an SPF. I mean, what are you doing?
Okay.
It's like 4 or 5 layers on your skin. No wonder you're getting acne.
Yeah.
It's because you're putting all these layers on your skin.
Yeah.
So I think layering is the worst thing you can do. And all these these Instagram and social media influencers
Yeah.
are advising people to layer on their
exactly,
skin.
yeah.
That's the wrong advice.
So according to you, what's the best daytime routine for skincare and what's the nighttime routine?
Keep it simple. Is
Okay.
my
Yeah.
my motto.
Yeah.
So in the morning, wash your face with a simple wash.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be anything fancy, anything expensive. Just a simple wash.
Yeah.
Wash your face. Apply your normal moisturizer. So
Okay.
if you've got acne-prone skin, you might want to use something like La Roche-Posay Effaclar, or you might want to use something like CeraVe SA. And then you put your sunscreen in, between 10 and 2, the sun is at its brightest.
Yeah.
So make sure your sunscreen is on around those hours.
Yeah.
And at night, wash your face again and apply your nighttime cream. But don't layer creams on top of each other.
So 3 in the morning, 2 in the night, that's it.
That's it. That's all you need.
Okay.
And some people, you don't even need that many. Some people are just using 2 products the whole day. So they're just
Okay.
using an SPF
Yeah.
and a moisturizer. And that's it. And they're just washing their face with water.
So Okay, so this is a little personal. So I use that. So
Mhm.
I wash my face in the morning, face wash, yeah, and then I just put on my moisturizer. I have recently started using sunscreen. I never used it before because my sister like kept on telling me you have to use it,
Right.
you have to use it. So only three products: face wash, moisturizer, and
I think
sunscreen.
that's a nice
So then I'm
balance.
doing fine,
You're
yeah.
doing great.
Perfect. Perfect. Um, what's the best way to remove blackheads?
So blackheads, what is a blackhead? So blackhead is basically what we call them open comedones. So comedones are basically little spots that you get. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of. There's whiteheads and there's blackheads.
Yeah.
So whiteheads are closed comedones. Black comedones are open comedones. So basically, it just means that then the opening or the mouth of the gland
Yeah.
is blocked by dead skin.
Okay.
So a blackhead is basically dead skin blocking the opening of the gland.
Okay.
And so sometimes you can manually just extrude the blackhead. So you
Yeah.
can take that little bit out. I wouldn't recommend touching it, to be honest. I would just rely on something like salicylic acid
Okay.
or retinol.
Okay.
Topical retinol
Yeah.
or salicylic acid will dissolve that keratin plug,
Yeah.
and then the comedone will be gone gradually.
Okay.
So I would recommend, the more you irritate these things,
Yeah.
the more likely you are to get post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So get those dark marks that you
Yeah.
get after acne.
Okay.
So I'd leave it alone. Just apply a salicylic acid like a BHA, or apply, for example, a retinol, a mild retinol,
Yeah.
and that will help with
Okay.
comedones.
Okay. Okay. One big question. I'm sure you're asked this million times. Should one pop pimples?
No, as I said, you'll get hyperpigmentation.
Hmm.
Any kind of irritation to the skin,
Yeah.
and you will get those melanocytes excited, and they will darken your skin.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We're running towards the end of the podcast. Do you have like one piece of advice for skincare to people that everyone should follow?
So I think it goes back to what we started off in the beginning with, and the key is don't rely completely on cosmetic products.
Yeah.
Your diet, your lifestyle, stress, all these things are far more important than any product you can buy on the shelf.
Yeah.
And I think there's too much focus now on, oh, I need to go and get this product. Oh, I've seen this product. Oh, there's
Yeah.
Korean brand. Oh, there's this brand. Everyone is just going crazy. And these pharmaceutical companies are just sitting there enjoying the wealth that they're generating from all these cosmetics.
Yeah.
100 years ago, there weren't all these fancy products.
Hmm.
I mean, even 30, 40 years ago, who knew about sunscreens, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're kind of going a bit too much into these products.
Hmm.
Yes, sunscreens are important, especially if you're, lighter skin. It prevents skin cancer, or it helps to prevent skin cancer. But I think equally, you need to be pragmatic. And you need to also think about your body, what's going into your body, your mental health, your stress levels.
Yeah.
And I just can't stress that enough. If you can balance all those things, then your skin will be healthy, and so will the inside of you.
True. So for all our viewers who are watching you, if they want to consult you for their skincare issues, where do they contact you?
So I'm available there's two ways to contact me. One is through my website, which is www.drdattani.co.uk.
Okay.
And the other one is to approach me through my company called Magnolia Health.
Okay.
So we deal with all sorts of problems in Magnolia Health. So we have experts who deal with anti-aging injections, like the hyaluronic injections that I mentioned.
Yeah.
We have experts who are doing chemical peels, like with the AHAs that I mentioned earlier, microneedling. And you can also have a consultation with me if you're not sure about what you need for your skin, and if you just want a bit of advice. So that's one way of approaching me.
Okay, perfect. We'll leave all these details in our description, so you can reach out to Jinesh if you have any concerns. Thank you so much, Jinesh.
Thank you, Mina, for having me. And I just wanted to say that it's so great to be here. And I think your videos are fantastic. It's a great educational platform for people. There's particularly people who perhaps don't like reading textbooks or reading blogs.
Yeah.
This is a great, it's something they can listen to and get a lot of information from. And a lot of myths can be busted through programs like this. And I think I just want to commend you guys on developing this program.
Thank you so much. This is basically why we started it, just educate everyone, and not just everyone else. That we also get a lot of information, and it's really helpful for myself, for the whole team. Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much
Thank
for
you
having
for
me. Thank
sharing
you.
so many good insights. We didn't even we couldn't imagine. Like you said, stuff like home products or like natural remedy products are not actually really better all the time compared to chemical ones. These things are like really eye opening because
It's because there's so much misinformation out
yeah,
there, and hopefully today's video highlights that, and hopefully
it
it will
would.
provide people with some more information when they go shopping next.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And to our listeners, remember, great skin ain't just an experience. It's all about also the healthy habits that you adopt in your life. If you find today's episode helpful, please do subscribe us, like it, and leave it in the comments how you felt about today's episode. And please share today's episode with at least one of your friends who you think really would be find this episode beneficial. Well, that's it from us today. Take care, and we'll see you in our next episode. Bye.